The air in Westminster was thick with a tension you could taste, metallic and sharp like an impending storm. Just days before, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, seemed to stride the political landscape like a titan, untouchable, unassailable. Now the vultures were circling. The whispers started subtly, a low hum of discontent amongst his own MPs. By Friday, those whispers had coalesced into something far more dangerous, a secret plot, a shadow cabinet meeting in hushed tones, the clinking of glasses masking the sharpening of knives. But the true detonation, the event that would send shockwaves through the foundations of British politics, came from an unexpected source: Jerusalem. Benjamin Netanyahu, the veteran Israeli prime minister, a man who understood the brutal calculus of power better than most, was watching. He saw the chink in Starmer's armor, the vulnerability masked by carefully crafted rhetoric and poll-tested pronouncements, and he prepared to strike. The catalyst was a seemingly innocuous late Friday press release. Buried deep, designed to be overlooked, it announced the halting of arms export licenses to Israel, citing humanitarian concerns over Gaza. A calculated move, perhaps, intended to appease a vocal segment of the Labour Party, but a move with consequences Starmer hadn't fully grasped. He underestimated Netanyahu. He underestimated the deep historical ties between Britain and Israel. He underestimated the man's ruthlessness. Within hours, Netanyahu unleashed a diplomatic blitzkrieg. First, the cancellation of his official visit to London, a calculated snub, a public humiliation. Then, the expulsion of 3 British envoys from Tel Aviv, a sharp, stinging rebuke. But these were mere preludes to the main event. Live press briefing, broadcast globally, Jerusalem as the stage, Israeli flags as the backdrop. Netanyahu, his face etched with controlled fury, his voice a low, dangerous rumble. He spoke of decades of shared sacrifice, of British soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder with Israelis against terror. And then the accusation, delivered with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel. Their government turns its back, not through diplomacy, but betrayal. The world held its breath. Headlines screamed across the internet. Netanyahu accuses Britain of betrayal, but the real bombshell was yet to come. Netanyahu, his gaze unwavering, brandished documents, classified intelligence, claiming proof of secret communications between Starmer's team and groups Israel designates as terror affiliates, a claim Labour had vehemently denied for years. He stared directly into the camera, his eyes burning with intensity, and uttered 6 words that detonated like a bomb in the heart of London. Britain has betrayed its oldest ally. The fallout was immediate and devastating. The United States, usually Britain's staunchest ally, issued a carefully worded statement, a diplomatic tightrope walk, expressing concern over Britain's reliability as a NATO partner. A subtle but unmistakable distancing. France and Germany remained conspicuously silent. In the intricate language of diplomacy, silence speaks volumes. It was a condemnation. Senior officials whispered of Britain's biggest foreign policy disaster since the Suez Crisis, a humiliation on a scale unseen in nearly 70 years. Netanyahu had exposed Starmer's weakness, his naivete, his miscalculation for the entire world to witness. The dominoes had begun to fall. Inside Whitehall, the atmosphere bordered on apocalyptic. One senior official, face pale and voice trembling, likened it to a train crash unfolding in slow motion. Everyone could see it coming, the inevitable carnage, but no one could stop it. The Prime Minister's office, usually a hive of activity, was eerily silent, the air thick with dread. Then came the veterans, the backbone of Britain, the men and women who had served with distinction, who had fought alongside Israeli soldiers in conflicts across the globe. They watched in disbelief as Netanyahu branded their prime minister a traitor. And to Starmer's horror, many of them agreed. Colonel David Harrison, a decorated veteran of the Parachute Regiment, a man who had seen action in the Falklands and Northern Ireland, posted a video that went viral within hours. Dressed in his full uniform, medals glinting under the harsh light, he spoke with a raw, unfiltered anger that resonated with millions. "We fought and bled beside Israel," he declared, his voice cracking with emotion. Now Starmer spits on that sacrifice just to appease those who hate what we fought for. Netanyahu is right. This is betrayal. The clip spread like wildfire across veteran networks, igniting a fury that Starmer's spin doctors couldn't contain. The contrast was stark and brutal. Veterans struggling to make ends meet, forced to choose between heating their homes and eating, while labor ministers feasted at Chequers, the prime minister's country residence, all funded by taxpayer money. The optics were, to put it mildly, devastating. But the storm wasn't over. A grim warning arrived from Britain's Jewish community. The Community Security Trust, an organization dedicated to protecting Jewish people from anti-Semitism, reported a staggering 340% surge in anti-Semitic incidents in just 9 days. Synagogues in London, Manchester, and Leeds were threatened. Jewish children were harassed on their way to school. Families were afraid to display religious symbols in their own homes. Rabbi Jonathan Goldstein, a respected figure in the Jewish community, broke down in tears at a press conference. "We thought labor had changed after Corbyn," he sobbed, his voice choked with emotion. "We were wrong. This government has unleashed forces that endanger Jewish lives again." The Jewish Chronicle, the community's leading newspaper, ran a front-page headline that screamed, "Betrayed again." Their editorial called Starmer's decision a moral wound that will scar Britain for generations. Polls revealed that a staggering 89% of British Jews had lost trust in labor. 9 out of 10, a complete and utter collapse of confidence. Then came the unthinkable. King Charles, the monarch, the symbol of Britain, broke with centuries of tradition and political neutrality. At a private event at Buckingham Palace, he delivered a speech, the words of which leaked within hours, that sent shockwaves through Westminster. "Britain's strength has always come from standing by allies in their darkest hour," he declared, his voice resonating with quiet authority. "When we turn away from them, we turn away from ourselves." For the first time in living memory, the king had publicly sided with a foreign power against his own prime minister. Palace insiders whispered that Charles had personally refused edits to his speech, determined to deliver it as written. They'd never seen him so resolute, so determined to make his voice heard. What began as a political crisis had now morphed into a full-blown national identity crisis. Downing Street went into lockdown. Media access was suspended, phones were confiscated, senior staff were ordered to contain the royal crisis, to somehow put the genie back in the bottle. But it was too late. The dam had burst. Within 24 hours, half the cabinet had turned on Starmer. Foreign Secretary David Lammy, a longtime ally, accused him of undoing 50 years of diplomacy, effectively going on strike. Even Starmer's closest confidant whispered the one word that signals the end of any government: resignation. Then came the intelligence leak, the smoking gun that would finally shatter Starmer's premiership. A classified memo, its authenticity beyond dispute, surfaced in every newsroom in London. It revealed a stark warning from Britain's own national security chiefs, delivered directly to Starmer. "Do not provoke Israel. Retaliation from Israel expected, severe and public," the memo stated. In blunt terms, advice, postponement, or reassessment. Starmer ignored it. He gambled and he lost. Now that memo was splashed across every front page in London, a dagger aimed directly at his heart. In Jerusalem, Netanyahu seized the moment. He delivered a fiery speech to the Knesset, his voice ringing with righteous indignation. "We will not be lectured by those who've lost their moral compass," he thundered. "Britain chose appeasement over alliance. History will remember that." The statement hit over 40 million views within a day. Netanyahu's popularity soared to unprecedented heights. Starmer's collapsed. Back in Britain, Starmer the traitor trended #1 on social media for 3 days straight. Protesters flooded Downing Street, a sea of British and Israeli flags waving in unison. Major labor donors, once loyal and generous, withdrew their funding, branding Starmer's decision a moral betrayal. The money tap was turned off. Then came another diplomatic hammer blow. The U.S. Congress, flexing its muscles, froze a pending defense deal with the UK, citing instability in British leadership. In diplomatic terms, terms, that's a vote of no confidence from America, a clear message that Britain was no longer a reliable partner. Behind the gilded gates of Buckingham Palace, royal advisors reportedly began preparing for a leadership transition, a move unseen in modern times. The wheels of power were turning, quietly and inexorably. One senior courtier stated, "The king won't act politically, but he won't stay silent if Britain turns on its allies." Translation: Charles is done watching. But the chaos didn't end there. A leaked Labour HQ video surfaced showing aides celebrating the arms suspension, calling it a historic moral stand. Champagne corks popped in the background. The video, leaked by a disgruntled staffer, spread like wildfire across social media. Public rage exploded. The tabloids summed it up in 4 words: champagne while Britain burns. Labour's credibility imploded. Internal polls revealed a staggering 17-point collapse in 72 hours, the steepest drop in party history. Even lifelong Labour loyalists, the bedrock of the party, turned away in disgust. The ground was shifting beneath Starmer's feet. Meanwhile, Netanyahu, the master strategist, played the long game. He invited senior conservative MPs to Jerusalem for private discussions. That wasn't diplomacy, that was power realignment in real time. A clear signal that he was already looking beyond Starmer, preparing for a future without him, and through it all, King Charles remained silent, but not neutral. Royal experts agreed that his silence was strategic, a calculated move. When the crown speaks once in 70 years, the world listens. And right now, the world is listening intently. This is no longer just a dispute between Britain and Israel. It's a test of whether the United Kingdom can still be trusted by its allies, by its people, and by its king. A prime minister deserted by allies, abandoned by veterans, and rebuked by his own monarch. History will mark this moment when a foreign leader didn't just challenge Britain, he broke it from the outside.